check, check, check. Can I hear myself? Turn my headphones up. Turn my headphones up. No, seriously, I cannot hear myself. That's a reference some people will get. Today on the Narcissus Staring Into the Water Says podcast, I'm going to be discussing my takeaways from 2024, my plans for 2025, and other very narcissistic ramblings, so go ahead and stick around. Let us start with my takeaways from 2024, and this is going to be much more philosophical than content related, but number one for me was getting out of my comfort zone. I think I need to bleep that out. There's no T in comfort. Getting out of your comfort zone more. This last year, that was ridiculous. I definitely need to bleep that out, especially at the start of a show. YouTube will kick me off. Number one for me was get out of your comfort zone more. Get out of your comfort zone and do stuff that makes you feel awkward, uncomfortable, anxious. Put yourself out there a lot more. I forced myself to do this year. I went out, I played a concert for the first time in 15 years. That was anxiety-inducing. I practiced so much because I didn't want to make a fool of myself, but it turned out well. It was a ton of fun reconnecting with those guys and practicing with them in a sweaty basement in a hot summer Arizona, and then playing a show. That was so much fun. I went ahead and went on a lot more trips than I have in the past. I think I did 4 this last year. Went out, visited family. I did the practice trip. I did the concert trip. I went and visited friends in Georgia. It was a ton of fun. All of that, not something I would typically do because I am more of a homebody, but I went out and did it. I also forced myself to put myself out there, and I know that sounds dirty, but I put myself out there. I asked people out. I totally got shot down a lot, which was awesome. I loved doing that and getting shot down. It's good. It's good to know that. It's good to feel that. It's good motivation to improve yourself. And on the note of getting shot down, I also went on some incredibly awkward dates. So getting out of your comfort zone, doing stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable, I think that is hugely beneficial because the big takeaway for me, none of those situations killed me. I am still alive. I am still here. I am still breathing. And I think I am better than I was at the start of the year. I have better stories. I have interesting experiences. I got better at guitar because I forced myself to practice so much. So I would just suggest, put yourself out there, make yourself do stuff that you may not necessarily want to initially, that may make you feel a bit anxious or uncomfortable. Unless, of course, that's like skydiving or free climbing or trying to develop some kind of resistance to iocane powder. So one day, just one day, in case it comes up, you may be able to win a battle of wits against a Sicilian. Don't do those things. I would advocate against those because those could actually kill you. But I highly recommend doing stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable because it's how you grow and it's how you come up with fun stories. The second takeaway I had was to face things head on. This last year, I had to deal with some very unfun situations, both at work and in personal life and in personal business, all of that. I had to deal with some difficult situations. What I would have done in the past is catastrophize. I would let that situation mull over in my brain. I would dwell on it and think, what's the worst that could happen? And all that did was make the anxiety worse. It made dealing with it or the thought of dealing with it so much worse. So what I did this year was I would realize a bad situation was happening. I would allow myself to feel anger, sadness, whatever about that situation for a couple hours or a day. Then I would move on. I would look at the situation. I would analyze it, I would determine the possible paths I can take, and then select what I think is the best course of action. Once you do that, you have one thing to do. Execute on that plan to the best of your ability. Will it always work out? No. But at least you know you did everything within your power to handle it. You also didn't allow catastrophization to occur. You didn't allow your mind to run wild with all the negative possible outcomes that would exacerbate the stress or anxiety. I'm saying you, but I'm talking about me. So I was able to handle very difficult situations with a lot more grace, with a lot more calmness than I would have in the past. And the reason that's important to me is when I get overly stressed, and I know this is true for a lot of people, you can tend to become quite a weenie to people around you. If you're dealing with somebody at work and a negative situation is happening and you're really stressed, it's easy to get a bit snippy. If you're super stressed at work or with business or anything, it's easy to allow that to impact your mood, and then you take that out on people in your personal life. None of those things is really fair. It's not fair to do. And the last thing that I want is for somebody to look at me or remember me and think, yeah, that guy was kind of a dick. He would get stressed out and be really mean to me. He would be snippy with me at work. He would be rude at work. Oh, when he got home from work, he was just a real jerk off. He would just yell at me or be short with me or give me the silent treatment or whatever anybody does. So by handling these difficult situations more methodically, it allowed me to be a kinder person, and that is the main reason why it was so important to me and why I want to advocate for that for you as well. Maybe you already do this. Maybe everybody in the world already knows this, and this is just groundbreaking to me. But not being a weenie to everybody around me when things get difficult, huge bonus, huge takeaway. Love it. Gonna continue to do that. Now let's look at my goals for 2024. Did I actually hit them? Because every time I've done this, the answer has been a resounding no. Failure. You suck, idiot. This year, I hit them. Kind of. As far as content, one of my main goals was to launch the series that I had been discussing, an educational series on podcastage, producing great online audio. I actually launched the first module for that. It ended up being 6 parts, I think, 7 parts. And it took a lot longer than I was expecting, but I am super happy that I did it. The entire focus of this first module was how to select the right microphone. Did it need to be 60 minutes long? No. But was it thorough? I think so. I think I answered the question really well. If somebody wants to actually learn the process, learn everything about the microphone prior to buying it, assuming they're not just going to search, what microphone should I buy, and want a 30-second answer. Buy the SM7B. Buy the Blue Yeti. Buy the TLM 103. As long as they don't want that and they actually want to learn. Thinking about it again, this is a terrible decision. I should have just made a 5-minute video. Buy this microphone. Use my affiliate links. Asked and answered. Let the money roll in. I'm rich now. That's what I should have done. But success there. Also, my second goal was be more comfortable, be more spontaneous, be more sporadic with my presentation style. I think I have excelled at that this year. I do still love to edit. I do still try to put my best foot forward and ensure that I am being efficient in my communication because I do not like the idea of wasting people's time. But at the same time, I have just felt so much more comfortable on microphone, on camera, and I feel as though I don't have to edit as much. As far as fact, I don't know. I don't know if it's actually been a better presentation style, but from my side of things, I just feel better about the actual recording process. I'm more comfortable and I have more fun, and I feel like I flub a lot less. So content goals, A+, I did it. As far as personal goals, I kind of succeeded. I did sell off quite a few DVDs and CDs and consolidate my collection. I still have a lot to do. I still have way too many movies, but, you know, it's a slow process selling stuff on eBay and getting rid of stuff, and I don't want to go to a flea market and just unload it that way. eBay seems like a fine way to go about it. It's just time consuming. Secondly, I did write music outside of my reviews. That was my second personal goal. I think it was this year. I wrote and recorded 3 songs for my friend's comic, which was a ton of fun. He sent me vocals, no music, nothing, no click track, nothing, and said, "Can you write music for this?" I said, "Sure. That sounds like a fun challenge," and I think it turned out well. Is it my best work? No, but it was a ton of fun. I also finished one song that was expanded from one of my review videos. I don't remember which one. People said, "This is great." It was one of the first times that I expanded outside of just doing pop punk. And I think that's really why people thought, "Whoa, this is really cool." In reality, the idea is fine. I don't know if it warranted expansion into a full song. And once I had finished it and listened back to it, I just found that it was very uninspired. The structure was just verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. And there's no vocals over it. It's just guitar-driven synth rock kind of stuff. Synth pop, whatever. Synthwave. I call it doom wave because it's very depressing and doomy sounding, but I didn't see any reason for certain things to happen, so I wasn't comfortable putting it out. I think I'll talk about what I'm going to do next year, but I didn't publish any music under the Must Love Karate band name, which is such a rad band name. If I didn't tell you the reason for that name, it just sounds like something that Dwight Schrute would put on a dating profile, and I thought that was funny back in 2010 or 2011 when I came up with it, so I thought, hey, my band name will be Dwight Schrute's dating profile, Must Love Karate. So that's the story behind that. What else? Just finance stuff. Don't buy any EDC gear, don't buy any fragrances, and don't buy any watches. Did I succeed at that? 1 second. Water break. All right, for the do not buy any new everyday carry gear, I would say that is a resounding success. I did not buy anything else. My everyday carry is, I think, identical to what it was in April. I may have changed out the Bic pen from the cap one to the click stick. Other than that, everything is the exact same. I have no desire to upgrade, so we're still going strong there. As far as do not buy any fragrances because I have become a frag head. I love fragrances, I love colognes, but this was, for the most part, a success. I didn't buy any full bottles of fragrances. I did buy a couple of samplers in December. I could have and should have waited and then just held off until but we'll talk about why I couldn't even do it in January, but for the most part, I would say that's a success. I am going to buy one this year, but other than that, I'm going to continue to just hold off on that and use what I have. I do not need any more. And my collection is teeny tiny compared to some of these people online, man. They got crazy collections, which is exactly what people, they say the exact same thing about me and microphones. These collections are crazy. Of course they are. They review fragrances. Why wouldn't they be crazy, you dope? They need to have access to them to have comparison points. It makes sense. I don't do that, so I don't need everything out there. 4 or 5 bottles is more than enough, dude. That's crazy. Then, do not buy any watches. This one was difficult, and I'm going to say I failed at it. I didn't buy any fancy watches. I bought 3 G-Shocks, I think, in the middle of the year. 4 G-Shocks. One was a limited edition NASA. I had to buy that one. And then a couple larger G-Shocks because I wanted to make a video discussing them and demoing the size. Because I haven't seen that. Did I do that? I did not. But I did not succeed at that because I bought watches to make videos with, so huge failure. Again, I may buy one watch this year to commemorate a huge milestone for me, but other than that, I'm going to keep going on this. I don't need any more. I don't need any more stuff, dude. It's crazy. I got enough. And what I have is good enough, but I want to commemorate a huge milestone for me, which we'll discuss a little bit later. Now let's talk about my favorite videos that I made in 2024, but I need another water break. All right, my favorite videos that I made in 2024 on Podcastage would likely be what type of microphone should you get? This is discussing should you get a dynamic, a large diaphragm condenser, a small diaphragm condenser, a shotgun microphone, or a lav mic. I just thought this was an interesting topic. It's not something I have done in the past. And frankly, I think it will be really helpful for people over the years. Hopefully, it is helpful for people over the years. And second up there would be my different microphone tones video. That was in the same series. It was discussing dark, warm, bright, and neutral microphones. And again, it's something I haven't really discussed in the past. I've used those terms, but never really defined them. So hopefully this will help people understand reviews a little bit better, understand the tone that they're going for, and then hone in on the microphone that they want. On Podcastage 2, I would say my favorite video was my Nexodyne 8C comparison video. I compared the Nexodyne 8C to 7 or 8 other handheld dynamics or handheld microphones. The reason that's my favorite, it's a demo that I hadn't done before. So I still did my full Nexodyne 8C review on Podcastage, but I realized with handheld dynamics or handheld mics, they're used on stage, and when you're on stage, the microphone is right on your lip. So that entire video on Podcastage 2 was a close mic comparison with the microphones touching my lips, and it really shined a light on the benefit of certain design traits of handheld mics. What about this podcast, though? What is my favorite episode of this podcast? Honestly, it's a bit impossible to say because I talk so much, I have no idea what I talk about, what I say, but there is one standout. It's one of my favorite segments that I did this year. It was on episode 386. It was not the primary topic of the episode, but it was the 3 best value electronics section in that episode. And in the link in the episode notes and description, I will have that time stamped so you can check it out. I love that topic, finding high quality items that are affordable, that improve your life, that are maybe not necessarily buy it for life, but aren't wastes of money. Since then, that was from April, I haven't found 3 pieces of electronics that match up with that level, which is kind of a bummer. I'd love to make a follow-up, but I haven't been able to. And selecting this as my favorite may be tainted a bit because on my Clips channel, that is now my best performing video by 100,000 views. It has 121,000 views, so clearly the topic resonated with some people, and I just love the idea of high quality electronics that are affordable. Then on Watchcastage, I published nothing, so my favorite is nothing. On the Bandrew Scott channel, I published one video that wasn't a clip from this podcast. So that's my favorite, I guess, just by default. It was an unboxing of my buddy Logan Noggle's comic book, his graphic novel, Serpent Inc. So that is my favorite video on that channel. Now, what about 2025 content goals? Did I tell you this is a narcissistic podcast? Narcissistic? Why does that sound funny? That's correct. They're narcissistic, yeah. Narcissus. That sounds wrong. Have I said it so much that it stopped making sense, or am I saying that incorrectly? It's possible that I'm just having a brain fart. 2025 content goals. Number 1 for me is publish 2 more modules in the educational series talking about audio interfaces and then how to connect your devices properly. Then we'll do gain staging, we'll do settings, we'll do all of that stuff. There's so much to cover in this series. So I want to do at least 2 more modules. I want to publish a few more watch videos because I did buy those G-Shocks for a reason. I want to cover those. I want to put the information out there because I couldn't find it. So perhaps somebody else is looking for it. And that's why I make any of these videos. I want to provide people information that helps them be better informed in their purchases so they waste less money. So I want to do that. I also thought of this, I forgot to add it. I want to cover more consumer level microphones because I've kind of left them by the wayside. A lot of the gaming microphones I would love to cover, not only because they do really well in terms of views, which may be part of the motivation, but that does tell me people are interested in that. They're looking for it. And I think a lot of those gaming microphones don't get the same kind of reviews and treatment. So I think there is a lot of value to that. One issue I have, or that I run into, I am a Mac user, and a lot of those microphones and interfaces and gaming devices do not have Mac software, so you lose almost all of the functionality. And I would have to use a Windows computer, so I'd have to dig one out, find it, and use that for the review. So that's the one downside. Most of them do not support Mac, and I am a Mac user, but I want to do that. And lastly, I want to stay consistent with Q&A videos on Podcastage because I think those are incredibly beneficial. I like having that more direct line of communication and engagement. Ask a question, here's an answer. Because we all know the cliche, if somebody in class is asking a question, 3 other people have the same question, they just were too embarrassed to ask it. I feel like I have a lot of mouth clickies today, and it's making me crazy. It's driving me nuts. I just hear this squishing. Or maybe I'm just paranoid. Hopefully it's not in the recording because I am repulsed right now. So I'm going to drink some water and then we'll discuss personal goals. All right, what are my personal goals for 2025? Number 1 is I still want to publish at least a 3-song EP. I love the idea of actually filling out these songs that I wrote for my reviews, where I really like the ideas, they just need to be expanded upon. The issue that I run into is I expand them, I like them for a day, and then I think they're trash. I think what I need to do is just expand them, write them, record them, and then publish them without much forethought, without much over-analysis, over-analyzing of it. And I just need to break the seal because I don't think I've published any music in a really long time, probably almost 20 years. Yes, I have written stuff on YouTube and put it on there, but not published it through Apple Music or Spotify or anything like that. So as I touch my lips and sound like a motorboating. Another personal goal, I never want to do that again, especially not on camera. That is ridiculous. I look like a fool and I sound like one. But I want to publish at least a 3-song EP. Like I mentioned earlier, I do kind of call it Doomwave because it is slow, it is minor, it is kind of depressing sounding, but it has a lot of synthwave aspects to it. The first EP will be called Doomwave, or maybe I'll save that for a full album of depressing synthwave. Who knows? Nobody steal that name, copyright or whatever. Next, I want to continue to get out of my comfort zone. I want to do stuff that leads to good stories. I want to avoid terrible situations. I'm not going to do stuff where I think this makes me feel uncomfortable because it's dangerous, or this makes me feel uncomfortable because it's illegal. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about putting myself in situations that are normal, but I still feel uncomfortable in them. I want to go to the opera. You don't belong at the opera. Look at you. You dress like you're 14 still. I don't care. I'm going to go. I'm going to go to the opera. I'm going to go to the symphony. I'm going to see amazing music. I'm going to go to more concerts because those things do make me uncomfortable, but they're great experiences. So that's what I am talking about. Lastly, I want to develop better habits with YouTube. The reason I don't have a lot of online subscription services like Netflix, Hulu, whatever, is because I think there's an overabundance of content, and the content on those platforms are subpar, or maybe just uninteresting to me. So I find myself wasting time scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, looking for anything that catches my attention to watch, only to realize, 30 minutes have passed. You wasted 30 minutes. Now you don't have time to watch anything. But I have found myself developing that habit with YouTube. I am just scrolling, looking for anything that this godforsaken algorithm will recommend me that seems interesting. Hasn't been happening much recently. What I have reverted to is just binge watching old comedy podcasts. And it's fun, but it's kind of like junk food. That may be unfair. That may be very unfair. I just feel when I am binge watching comedy podcasts, it's funny, it's hilarious, but I just catch myself thinking, God, you could be so much more productive right now. So maybe my goal isn't develop better habits with YouTube or just content consumption in general, but it is focus more on creating stuff as opposed to consuming stuff, because over the last couple of months, maybe it's because it's vacation time, I have noticed I have been very frivolous with my time in terms of consumption and being productive. I have not been productive. I have not been productive at all. There you go. Those are all my personal and content goals for 2025. If you're a content creator, let me know what your goals are in the comments. If you are a person, go ahead. Aliens excluded. I don't want to hear from you. Just get out of here. Go back to Alpha Centauri, you weirdo. Come on. Grays for Zeta Reticulans for life. Who is this dweeb on camera? Why are you watching his podcast? This guy's a weirdo. If you're a person, let me know what your personal goals are for 2025. Geez, that got weird real quick. Let's talk about some awesome news. Number one is purely self-congratulatory, and it is on the 2nd of January, 2025. That marked 10 years since I gave up drinking. It is just a huge milestone for me, so I want to pat myself on the back. It was not an easy feat the first couple of years, but now it's second nature, and it is one of the best decisions I have ever made, because a lot of my relationships back in the day were reliant or revolved around drinking. Hey, let's go to the bar and hang out. Not, let's do something fun together. So it was really good in that regard. It also, when I was drinking, it didn't make me content, but it removed a lot of motivation. So I found myself quite miserable because I wanted to accomplish stuff, but I wouldn't work towards it. I would just drink. And now I'm not motivated, and now I'm depressed because I have done nothing. So in that regard, also a huge benefit. And had I not given up drinking, I likely wouldn't have ever started making videos on podcastage, and I likely wouldn't have ever started podcasting again. So this show wouldn't exist, and podcastage wouldn't exist. So for me, it is one of the best decisions I have ever made. My life improved exponentially following that. My social life declined exponentially following that because for a multitude of reasons, but you win some, you lose some. And I have been working up to developing that social life again. So if you're considering giving up drinking or giving up anything like that, do it. If you need medical intervention or medical professionals, do that. It's going to be difficult, especially if a lot of your social interactions revolve around it, but I say give it a shot. See how you feel, see what you're able to accomplish, because for me, it changed my life so dramatically for the positive. And without it, without making that decision, I wouldn't be on YouTube. So I just want to give myself a pat on the back, and that's the big milestone that I was referring to earlier, where I may end up buying a watch. There's nothing that I really want right now, so I want to see what comes out, but that's such a life-changing accomplishment for me. For other people, it doesn't matter. But for me, that was a life-changing moment, and I want to commemorate that if something catches my interest. If not, cool. The second thing is I am doing a no-spend January. We are only 5 days in, going strong. I should be. It's only 5 days in. But I would highly advocate giving a no-spend month a shot this year. Start with February because there's 28 days this year. So it's the shortest, it's the easiest. The entire goal of it is to kind of reset your spending habits, identify where money is automatically going out, understand your finances a lot better. I just like doing it because it allows me to save money, and I have noticed I have been a bit more frivolous with wanting DVDs. I guess that's my current addiction. Movies. I haven't bought any in a few weeks, but I need to get better about that, so just cutting it all off. Nothing. No more. No spend January. Maybe even a no spend February, maybe a no spend March. Who knows? Only time will tell. How frugal, how frugal will I be? How much money can I not spend? Let's see if I can go full-on monk this year. I swear there was a big loud mouth click. I'm sorry about that. Let's see if I can go full-on monk, start wearing robes, shave my head, and become Friar Tuck or something. I don't know. He's obviously not a monk. His name's Friar Tuck. He's a friar. Are friars monks? I don't know. All right. That is it for all those topics. Now let us talk about what I have been testing. I am on the Neumann TLM 107 again. That's not the topic. I am on a new interface. Finally. Everybody can leave me alone. You're using an old interface. You're an idiot. Focusrite sucks. The second gen, you're ruining everything. That's how you sound when you leave comments like that. I'm still on a Focusrite. I'm still on a Scarlett. I'm still on an 18i20, but it's the 4th gen. $650. Bought it with my own dollary dues. I finally got it set up after the holidays, and I need a bit more time to finish my video on it. It's not going to be a full review. I don't feel like doing that. The purpose of the video is to be a baseline jumping off point because I have done so many videos with the 2nd gen. I want to give a comparison between the 2nd and 4th gen so that people can have an informed understanding of the differences and how the interface may or may not have impacted prior reviews and what to expect going forward. So that's the entire point. I'm going to be doing a bunch of comparisons on both interfaces and doing a side-by-side A/B comparison. I do know with Focusrite, people still seem to have a lot of issues on Windows, but on Mac, which I mentioned is exactly what I use, it's still working great. I don't have any issues. Mac for the win. I love it. I guess it's because I don't game or anything and I don't build PCs. But for what I do, perfect. Still works. What I really like about this, 70 decibels of gain. It's digital gain, so I know exactly how much gain I am applying. For instance, right now I am adding 32 decibels to the TLM-107, and I am peaking around minus 14 to minus 12 dB. I love that. We have an Alt monitor button, so we can have a second set of monitors if that's your bag, which is really cool. I don't use that. Also, we have output meters on the device, which is really cool. And I like that, even though I don't use it because it's off to the side of me and I don't look over there while I'm recording. But for some people, that's going to be really useful. What I dislike about it, we don't have individual lights or dials for each input. We have selector buttons and a single encoder dial. Not the hugest fan of that. I understand why it's that way. I just don't love it. I also dislike that I'm going to be very reliant on the software to get anything done for the mixing, for the gain, ensuring I don't have the air circuit turned on. But so far, the software seems pretty stable, no issues over the last couple of days, so we're good there. And that's what you have been listening to. Now let us jump to what you had to say, and the first comment comes from Gallivanting Fox, and she says, honestly, the YouTube algorithm has been pretty awful for a couple of years now, at least for me. I periodically try to retrain it by erasing my watch history and then binge watching the types of videos that I want it to push for me. Gallivanting Fox, thank you very much for the comment. I think that suggestion is awesome. I would love to know if you have found it to be effective. I am assuming that YouTube doesn't actually delete your watch history. I am guessing they hang on to everything, and that continues to feed into what you get recommended. But if this is effective for you, I would love to hear from you. If anybody else has tried something like this, I would love to hear from you. I know a lot of people, when they watch a video that they hate, they dislike it. If it was recommended, they will say, do not recommend, and then they delete it from their watch history. I would love to know if that is actually effective. If that is an effective method of saying, don't actually recommend this to me, I don't want it. Because I have heard people say they do that, and then the video continues to get pushed to them. They just get the same video over and over and over again. I kind of want to give this a shot, though, because the algo has been wild recently. Maybe it's just my interests have changed. Maybe I'm just cynical. Maybe I am just not into a lot anymore. But it has been off for me as well. I like the suggestion, though. Next, we have a comment from TechMed Rainer Richter, and he says, you are the best version of Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm not so sure about the Neumann TLM-107, hello Neumann, of being the best version of a Neumann microphone, hello Neumann, though I am looking forward to your podcastage episode about this mic. Well, hello, Raina. Thank you very much for the comment. I think you're right. As far as the sound of it, I think it's fine. But it's a $1,600 microphone, and it ought to be a lot better than fine. I think the price is really made up by the additional functions, the multiple polar patterns, the pads, the high-pass filters. Because tonally, I'm not 100% sold on it yet. I'm not 100% sold on it, and as I discussed last episode, the microphonic aspect of it, where it picks up noise a lot, is not the best. And at $1,600 or whatever, that shouldn't be an issue. So I am with you. Not 100% sure that it's the best version of a Neumann microphone out there, but that's why I bought it. That's why I'm going to review it. because I want to know. And if I want to know, I am sure other people want to know as well. So I'm going to continue using it, going to put it through all its paces, and then put out a review video on it. Completely impartial because I bought it with my own money. No relationship, as I bite my cheek, no relationship to any company. None whatsoever. All right. Next comment comes from the Sarah Sloan Show. She says, "That was awesome. I feel like I was listening to a friend recommending media. Merry Christmas, Bandrew." Sarah, thank you very much for the comment. Merry Christmas to you as well. I really appreciate you saying that it just sounds like a friend recommending media to you. That's what I hope this show does feel like. Just your annoying friend who won't shut up. Hey, I found this new album, you need to hear it. Hey, I found this new movie or this YouTube channel or this microphone. I need to tell you about it. Dude, I found this new conspiracy theory. I'm gonna tell you, they're watching us. And you're just thinking, does this guy ever shut up? That's my goal. So I appreciate you saying that. And the real reason I included this, it was crazy to get a comment from Sarah because last episode I recommended Kill Tony, and Sarah was a bucket pull on Kill Tony a couple of months ago, and she was very funny. So go check out her channel, the Sarah Sloan Show, and watch her set, watch her podcast, check her out. Really funny stuff. And yeah, really cool to get a comment from her, and keep up the great work. Lastly, we are jumping to the value for value section because this is a V for V podcast. What that means, there are no ads on this. There are no paywalls on this. I just put the show out there. You determine how much value you get out of it. And if you get any value, I ask you return that, whether it be time, talent, or treasure. We really need to develop the time and talent section of this because we only real focus on treasure, which is good because I need speech lessons. I am a fool, but time and talent are equal forms of support, of value for value. And if you don't want to or aren't able to contribute in any of those ways, just share this with somebody. This podcast exists through word of mouth. Does awful in the algo because it's 45, 50 minutes long and it covers 12 topics. First up, we have $5 from Christopher James, and he says, "Merry Christmas." Christopher, thank you very much for the $5 and Merry Christmas to you as well. I really appreciate the support. Next, we have $5 from TJ, and he says, "Thanks for getting us all through another year, Bandrew." TJ, thank you very much for the $5. Thank you for those incredibly kind words. Thank you for sticking with me through another year of my insane ramblings, my insane diatribes, and my just baffling tangents, which make no sense. That's my favorite part of these shows. For many people, it's a waste of time. But my favorite part of this show is when I end up saying, how did we get there? I love when that happens. It should happen more, but I go where my brain takes me. Doesn't happen every time. So TJ, thank you very much for the support financially, and thank you for sticking with me through another year. Next, we have $10 from MechTechRW, and they say, "You don't have to add this to your next video. This is for you, Bandrew. Thank you for being the beautiful Duke of the Nerds. Merry Christmas." MechTechRW, thank you very much for the support, and thank you for those incredibly kind words. Merry Christmas to you as well. I wanted to have the comment up on screen because I wanted to celebrate you for making the New Year's resolution to launch your content, and I wish you the best of luck. Let us know how it goes. Let us know what the production is like, how you're enjoying it, the difficulties you encounter, how you're able to overcome that. That is always super fun to hear, and I am so proud of you for doing that. Cooking for 4 years, getting things set up. That's a long lead time, but I am glad you are jumping in and going for it. So keep up or get started with the great work. I can't wait to see what it is and hear how it's going. Thank you again. And lastly, we have $100 euros from, you guessed it, hello, TechMed Rainer Richter. And he says, Danke, Merry, why did I tried to roll my R's there. Merry Christmas, dear Bandrew. Rainer, thank you so much for the amazing support over the year. It really does mean a lot to me, and it really does help continue to keep the show going, keep the show funded, keep all the bills paid. You are so generous and so kind. Everybody who supports this show, it really does mean the world to me, and my cameras just died. But thanks to the amazing support of Raina, of MechTech RW, of TJ, and of Christopher, I was able to charge the batteries, have high quality or high density flash disks, SD cards is the word, and I am back up and running, almost no time lost. It is thanks to them that this show exists and that this show is ad-free and not behind a paywall. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to you for coming by, watching, or listening. If you hadn't guessed, it's conclusion time. That is it for this week's episode. I really do appreciate you watching or listening to any amount of this. If you're not listening to this, you don't know that I'm thanking you, but I still want to thank you. I know you could do anything with your time. There are a billion, trillion, quadrillion things vying for your attention. The fact that you choose to spend any amount of time watching or listening to this really does mean the world to me. So thank you, and thank you for sticking through my saliva-y, disgusting mouth this week. I don't know what the heck is going on. Maybe I'm just hungry. There's no way of knowing. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will be back. I will be talking at you, with you, about you. I hope you had an amazing Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. Have an amazing 2025, and I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye-bye. Whoa. Whoa. Boop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.